It was the night of my son Leo's birthday. Sarah took him and my friend David to Iceland to see the northern lights. That same night, I signed the divorce papers. 3 years passed. I was at an airport in another country when a little boy suddenly hugged my leg. "Dad," he said, looking up at me with teary eyes, "don't you want me and Mom anymore?" I saw a woman standing behind him, her eyes also filled with tears. I looked at her and said, my voice flat and cold, "You've got the wrong person." When he heard me say that, Leo couldn't stop himself and started crying hard. "You are Dad, you are. I know it's you." With people walking by and watching, I felt like I was putting on a show. My dance team friend Jessica stood nearby, looking really uncomfortable, probably more embarrassed than I was. Sarah stepped forward then and gently pulled Leo away from me. She seemed to get her calm way of being back right away. Leo stopped making such a fuss, but tears were still streaming down his face. He turned to look at Sarah, his nose red from crying. "Mom, it is Dad." I was wearing sunglasses, so only the lower part of my face showed. I kept my eyes distant, looking at them without really seeing them, which made Sarah look away from me. "He's not, you're mistaken," she said softly to Leo. Leo just stood there, looking confused because I had said I wasn't his dad. Sarah, still holding his hand, gave me a small, apologetic smile. I didn't care about her apology at all. I just brushed off the spot on my pants where Leo had touched me and walked onto the plane with my team. It had been 3 years since I left. I never thought I'd see my ex-wife and son at an airport so far away. I didn't even think twice about denying that I knew them. Everyone on the team just thought some random kid had mistaken me for his dad and hugged my leg. The story spread through the dance team quickly. They wouldn't stop teasing me about it. "I get fangirls," someone joked. "But baby fans? Seriously?" Jessica, who had seen everything, laughed and said, "Mark, your fans are more, diverse than I expected." Someone else said, "You can't say that kid doesn't look a little like Mark," and showed a photo on their phone. Everyone crowded around to see, and then there were gasps. "Wait, isn't this the young master?" I was still trying to get over the shock of running into Sarah, and hearing that familiar name made my eye twitch again. Everyone's love for gossip kicked in. The person with the phone started telling everyone about her, using words like rich family, heiress, and important lady. Everyone was whispering in amazement. They even found old photos of her from the newspapers and compared them to the pictures taken of Leo at the airport. "It's true, Mark. Look," Jessica said, sounding shocked. I just managed a small smile, pretending it didn't bother me. Some people felt sorry for me, thinking I had missed out on something big. Others were more curious about something else. "So, why is the young master confusing dads? Where's his real dad?" "No idea," someone whispered. "Heard Sarah doesn't get along with her husband. Rumor is they divorced years ago but kept it quiet." "Probably true, huh?" "Oh, that poor kid must feel terrible, losing his dad so young." I wasn't so sure about the pity part. I thought about all the men Sarah knew. Plenty of people probably wanted to be Leo's dad. He wasn't exactly lacking in that area. Sarah had always been known for being a bit of a flirt. I'd known her my whole life. Those charming eyes of hers could make anyone feel like they were in a movie. She was bold and wasn't afraid to stand out. All the boys she flirted with, from kindergarten all the way through high school, ended up falling for her. She dated all sorts of guys, from quiet university students to famous actors. Her taste was all over the place. The longest she dated someone was 3 months, the shortest was 2 weeks. But she never seemed to like someone like me, someone she'd grown up with. When someone asked her why, Sarah said being with me was like being with her own right hand, just always there and not exciting. So why did she marry me? My marriage to Sarah wasn't about love. It was about our family's businesses and connections. Sarah saw her marriage and love life as just pieces in a big family game. So she decided to live life the way she wanted. After all, she'd have to marry me eventually, so why not date a few more people before it happened? "You better be careful," her friends warned her. "Mark might leave you one day." Sarah just laughed. It was hard to tell if she was really confident or just being sarcastic. Sarah was quite a wild person. Even after we were engaged, I couldn't change her. I remember one year she had a party on a cruise ship in Victoria Harbor with male models, and pictures of it ended up online. Her wild lifestyle caused a big stir, and our families put pressure on me to bring her back, especially since the company's stock was having problems. When I got there, the model she was with looked really interested in me. He put his arm around her and asked Sarah in a cheeky way, "Who's this guy?" "My fiancé," she said. The model's eyes got wide. "You're marrying this stiff guy?" Since I was a kid, I had been taught to act properly and carefully. Everything I did was planned and neat. Sarah had said the same thing about me being stiff. But I just stayed calm. "Come back with me," I told Sarah. Before Sarah could answer, the model jumped in. "Hasn't anyone told you, sir? Never ruin a woman's good mood when she's happy." I ignored him. I'd known Sarah forever, and I knew guys like him were just temporary in her life. "Have you ever even made it to the next day?" I thought. "Before disappearing from her life for good?" "Sarah," I said her name again. Sarah pinched the cheek of the model who was pouting in her arms because I hadn't reacted to him. "Should I go back?" she asked me playfully. The model looked at me and pushed a full glass of red wine towards me. "If he drinks that, you can go," he said. Sarah didn't say anything, just watched me with a teasing smile. That was her way of saying she agreed. To be honest, I'd had a pretty easy life because of my family. I was a good match for Sarah in terms of background. I hadn't really faced any big problems, except when it came to Sarah. It felt like she always found a way to make me feel small or foolish. I remembered what they had said on the way here. I clenched my fist, but in the end, I picked up the glass of red wine and drank it all in one go. I started coughing hard, and my eyes turned red. I looked stubbornly at Sarah. "I finished it," I said. "Now, come with me." Sarah chuckled. "Why are you being so obedient?" She reached out to wipe the wine from the corner of my mouth, but I pulled away. Sarah paused, then let out a short, indifferent laugh. She pushed the model away from her. "Let's go," she said. "I've handled plenty of situations like this before." Back then, I felt like I was just following a script, like a character in a play. After the divorce, it felt like I had finally broken free from that story. I felt like someone who was drowning and managed to grab onto a piece of wood floating by, like I was starting over. I think Sarah might feel the same way. Without someone boring and strict like me holding her back, her life must be going really well. I quickly tried to put that meeting with Sarah behind me, but the people in the dance troupe, maybe because training was so boring, didn't get much new gossip. So they kept talking about it. One day the director suddenly brought a group to visit the theater. Sarah was in the middle of the group, surrounded like a celebrity. The dance troupe immediately recognized her as the person they'd been gossiping about. They nudged each other excitedly. The director introduced everyone in English. "This is our rehearsal room. These are our troupe members, and this is our principal dancer, Mark." Sarah was wearing a sharp suit and looked very powerful. There was no sign of the awkwardness from our airport meeting or her usual flashy style. Her charming eyes now looked steady and in control, changed by years in the business world. I quickly looked away, not wanting to interact with her much. I hoped she would ignore me, just like she had at the airport. But then, I heard Sarah's playful voice. I know him. He's my husband." Before Sarah joined the troupe, everyone was curious about her. But the biggest question was always, who is Sarah's husband? I wasn't like Sarah, who was in the news all the time. Even getting married and having a child, I kept it quiet. My secret identity was suddenly revealed by Sarah's teasing comment. Everyone was shocked to realize that the person they had been gossiping about was standing right next to them. They looked at me in a strange, confused way, because before Sarah spoke, they were excited, thinking the director introducing me was the start of a romantic story. They didn't expect it to be about a reunion with my ex-wife. After leaving the theater, I saw Sarah standing by her black car downstairs. She looked like she belonged there, blending into the night. When she saw me, her eyes lit up, and she smiled, calling out, "Mark!" Her voice was warm and sounded completely natural. It felt like the 3 years we had been apart hadn't happened at all. I didn't stop walking, and she reached out to grab my arm. I slapped her hand away. "Get lost," I said coldly. Sarah turned her head from where I had hit her hand. She looked surprised, but her smile didn't go away. "Mark's got a temper now," she said, "even hitting people." I just glared at her coldly, but Sarah asked, "Have you calmed down yet? Come back with me, Mark. I miss you." Her voice became soft and gentle. "See? That's what she's like. Always causing trouble and acting without thinking. Even though she was the one who messed things up, she made it seem like I was the one being difficult." "Sarah, we're divorced," I reminded her. "I didn't sign the papers," she said, acting innocent. "It's not final." I took a deep breath. "It doesn't matter. We've been separated for 2 years. I can file for divorce myself." Sarah's face finally changed. Her eyes darkened. "Mark, does it have to be this way?" I gave her a cold smile and walked away. I tried to ignore Sarah being around, but over the next few days, she kept showing up. She would find reasons to come see my troupe perform or wait for me at the theater after work. It was really annoying. When we were married, she was never home. She wouldn't even tell me when she was traveling, just fly off with some man she was flirting with. Now, Sarah seemed to have all the time in the world to bother her ex-husband. What was she trying to do? I didn't want to think about Sarah, but people kept telling me news about her. When Jessica came over, looking a bit unsure, I was focused on getting ready for our next performance. "Mark," she said hesitantly. "Who's this David? What's going on with him and Sarah?" It had been a while since I had heard that name. I paused for a moment. Jessica showed me her phone. That's when I understood. Yesterday, Sarah hadn't shown up at the theater. She had gone to an auction and spent a huge amount of money, $100 million, on a pair of cufflinks. The news reported it, and people online were guessing who they were for. David, a popular actor in the country, posted a message on social media afterward that seemed to hint the cufflinks were a gift from Sarah. People who liked to gossip then looked into David and found out he was now a very famous celebrity who was supported by Sarah, and it was rumored they had a special relationship. The news had even caught David and Sarah traveling together once and used the phrase, "like a family of 3, in the headline. Since the troupe found out who I really was and thought about the rumors they had heard before, they couldn't help but feel worried and sorry for me. After practice, I saw Sarah waiting at the theater door again. She was still as focused on herself as ever. Even though I had turned her down a few times, she still acted like she wouldn't take no for an answer. With all the gossip about her and David lately, she seemed completely unaware. "I've booked us a table at that French restaurant you wanted to try," she said. "Let's go together." After Sarah started trying to get me back, she quickly learned about my life and what I liked over the years. She always used these kinds of tricks on her boyfriends or the guys she was interested in. While we were eating, Sarah handed me a small box. "I found something yesterday," she said. "Thought it might suit you." I opened it up. It was the incredibly expensive cufflinks from the auction. "Turns out you didn't give these to David," I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Hearing that name, Sarah frowned a little. "He doesn't deserve them," she replied, sounding a bit disgusted. I found it amusing. "Weren't you quite fond of him before?" I asked. This was the first time Sarah and I had sat down and talked so calmly since we had seen each other again. David's name was finally being discussed between us after years. When I first got married, I just planned to be polite and get along with Sarah. I knew she was very enthusiastic about making every guy in the world feel special, so I had already decided what my place would be in her life. As long as Sarah didn't bring those guys around to annoy me, I wouldn't say much. That plan worked until she got involved with David. David was my friend from middle school all the way through college. We were best friends, and he knew all my secrets. At my wedding, he was my best man, and when I was sick, he was the one who took care of me. But in the end, he and Sarah betrayed me. On Leo's second birthday, David came to celebrate. "Hey, Leo," he said, holding my son. "Let Uncle give you a hug." As he held Leo, I saw a fresh hickey on his neck and a very expensive watch on his wrist. I was a bit surprised. "David, did you start dating someone?" I asked. David blushed and nodded. "Who's the lucky lady?" I asked, pushing a little. "You haven't mentioned her." "It's not public yet," David answered. By that time, he was acting and becoming quite popular. I knew relationships could affect his career, so even though I was surprised, I didn't ask any more questions. Deep down, I was happy that David had found someone. "Bring her out to meet us when you can," I suggested. Just then, Sarah finally walked in. "What's so exciting?" she asked. Sarah was 26 back then. She was starting to act less wild and more like someone who would inherit a big company. The news even reported that she was settling down. Sometimes she would go to events with me. "David has a girlfriend now," I said. "He can't be the best man anymore, but Leo could be the ring bearer. What do you think?" Sarah smiled gently and took Leo from David. David smiled too. I thought they had agreed. Looking back now, it was all just sad and ironic. As David's acting career got bigger, many people who didn't like him said he was only successful because he had help. I was his loyal friend, so I often defended him online. I didn't want him to see the negative comments and get upset. "People think you have someone backing you," I joked to him on the phone. "How clever. They somehow know your biggest supporter is me." There was silence from David's end, and I started to worry. Then I heard David's low laugh, mixed with something I couldn't quite understand. "Thanks, Mark," he replied. "I'm good." Even though I was surprised by his reaction, I finished our call. "That's good, don't worry. If you need help, Sarah's public relations team can step in." "Okay," he said, and the call ended. Soon after, the negative comments about him disappeared. A year later, David became very famous because of a popular TV show. Sarah was a sponsor for the show, and it won an award. I asked her if I could present an award, pretending I wanted to support my friend on his big night. On stage, I hugged him and the trophy. "Congrats," I said. "Is your girlfriend here?" David gave a knowing smile and hugged me back. "Yeah," he said. "She's in the audience." Afterward, I looked around the crowd, trying to find her. "What are you looking for?" Sarah asked. "David's girlfriend," I said. "Heard she's here today." Sarah paused while putting my jacket over my lap. "Don't be so curious," she said. I really shouldn't have been curious. I never did meet David's girlfriend. I only saw hints of her existence through social media, where he would show off gifts she gave him. That changed on David's birthday. I called him to ask how he wanted to celebrate. "Sorry, man," he said. "I'm filming that day, so I can't meet up." I was disappointed and hung up. Just then, Sarah texted me that she would be away on business and that Leo was already back home. With nothing else to do, I decided to surprise David to celebrate our friendship of over 10 years. That night, I went to David's apartment, where he was resting between filming. In the quiet darkness, I saw two people tangled together and heard sounds of them being intimate. I heard Sarah say, "I bought new lingerie. Wait till you see it." And I knew she was with David. 3 days later, I was on a plane flying back home. Sarah put a blanket over me. She mentioned that the news people were at the airport to take pictures. Seeing my cold face, she squeezed my hand. "Mark," she said, "you should smile." Just 3 days before, Sarah had told me directly that she wanted me back. For the past 3 years, she had been telling people that I was away studying more, but she said I couldn't just stay gone forever. Those photographers really had nothing better to do. They had written countless stories about Sarah and me having problems in our marriage. Sarah couldn't keep hiding them all. "Why bother hiding it?" I sneered. "Isn't it the truth?" I told her that next month was Leo's birthday, and he was old enough now to understand things. I didn't want him to grow up in a family that was falling apart. "You can marry a new guy," I said, "and he can have a new dad. Whether it's some random person she likes or David, I don't care." Sarah's eyes flickered, and she looked away. "You're not like them," she said. Those were her exact words. I frowned angrily. I didn't want to go back home, but Sarah always had her ways. "I know you like the dance troupe here," she said, trying to convince me. "You can still dance after you come back. You can even bring your troupe mates with you." She was using my friends' jobs to threaten me. I slapped her across the face. "Sarah," I said, "you're disgusting." Sarah just laughed it off. "Mark," she said, "don't hurt your hand." Then she begged me, "Come back with me, Mark." I finally understood that she was serious this time. My knuckles turned white from holding my hands so tightly. I gave in a little. "I can go back," I said, "but I have a condition." "What is it?" she asked. "If you just need a stable marriage to look good for your business," I said, "we can agree to pretend we're together. Later you sign the papers, and we get divorced without telling anyone." Sarah stared at me intensely. "What if I don't agree?" Her voice was slow and strained. I looked back at her calmly and raised my left wrist. I showed her the deep scar there. "Then," I said, "I can choose to escape, or I can choose death." As soon as she saw the scar, her face turned pale, and I saw pain in her eyes. "Sarah," I said, "there are 365 days in a year. You can't watch me all the time." Sarah finally agreed. After we got off the plane, we walked through a special path that had been set up for us. By the time I was back, pictures of Sarah and me looking close together were on the front page of the newspapers. Sarah seemed quite happy about it, chatting excitedly on the way home. "The house is already just like it was before," she said. "The gardens are full of tulips now. Weren't you really into those?" She talked a lot, and it started to annoy me. Seeing that my eyes were closed and I was frowning, she stopped talking and carefully adjusted the blanket over me. Once we got home, I saw Leo. He was dressed neatly and holding the butler's hand, looking a little nervous beside the big iron gate. When he saw me get out of the car, his eyes, which were like black grapes, lit up. "Dad," he said, and hugged my leg tightly. He looked up at me with shiny eyes. "You're finally back." This time I really looked at him closely. When I left, he was only 4. Now he had grown quite a bit, looking like a small young man. He is my child. I should love him. But right then, I held back the urge to hug him. I just patted his head gently. "You've grown taller, Leo." Even with just that small touch, Leo was overjoyed. "I got you a gift, Dad," he said, and pulled out a little gift box. But I didn't take it. His hopeful smile disappeared, and he looked anxious and unsure. Sarah stepped in. Leo, Dad just got back and is tired. Let him rest first. Oh, okay, he said. The house was exactly as Sarah had said, unchanged from when I left. The vase in the living room hadn't moved. The small decorations on the table were still there. I remembered Sarah complaining about how childish they were and not her style, but she had kept them after I left. Then, in the main bedroom, I saw the wedding photo that I had smashed. It was now perfectly put back together and hanging on the wall. I paused for a moment. Beside me, Sarah's face looked tense, her hands clenched into fists. She was probably expecting me to say something, but I stayed silent. Then, her hope turned into disappointment. Worried that I might not be comfortable, Sarah personally told the butler about how my tastes and habits had changed over the years. Leo stood nearby, watching me eagerly, but also nervously. I slept for a long time to get over the time difference. When I woke up the next day around noon, I heard people talking downstairs. It was David. I had just returned, and there he was. He was sitting casually on the sofa, talking to the butler as if he owned the place. Hearing footsteps, he looked up. His handsome eyes stayed on me for a few seconds. Then he smiled. "Mark," he said, "you're back." I ignored David. The butler who had just been talking to him came over respectfully. "Sir, you're awake. I'll have them prepare your meal." David seemed surprised that I had ignored him. Then he walked over casually. "Mark," he said. His eyes stopped on my wrist for a second. I was wearing the watch Sarah had gotten me. News reporters had seen it yesterday, and some nosy people who liked to gossip had zoomed in on the photo and posted it online next to David's unclear message. Their article asked why a watch that was supposedly bought for a young actor was on someone else. People online started attacking David about it. "Didn't someone say this watch was a gift from the CEO to a certain someone?" they wrote. "How come someone else has it? Ha ha ha, someone can't stop trying to be famous." Hot news. David and Sarah's husband were once close. Cold news. David likes the CEO. Wow, is it true? Shameless stealing a friend's wife. The whole thing became a huge topic on social media that day. David's fans couldn't defend him fast enough, jumping into arguments online. "When did David ever say the watch was for him?" they argued. "I'm so tired of people who twist things around. It's people like you who make the internet so awful." "What do you mean, snatching a friend's wife? Everyone knows our David is Little Master Leo's godfather. You guys can turn a close relationship into rumors? I'm just done with you all." With all the talk growing, David just couldn't stand it anymore. He posted another message online. "Sorry for taking up your time," he wrote, "but I'm really sorry you misunderstood." But not many people seemed to care about what he said. Most people online were still criticizing him, saying he shouldn't claim things that aren't his. I can't see David's face right at that moment, but knowing him, he probably didn't sleep well last night. But, bless his heart, he still showed up here this morning. I was just slowly eating my breakfast. David still had a smile on his face. "Mark," he said, "we haven't seen each other in 3 years, and you're just as handsome as ever." Honestly, I have to give David credit. After everything that happened, he could still stand in front of me and pretend nothing had happened. It was truly amazing. "But you look more unbearable than ever," I said. David's smile wavered, but he quickly recovered. His eyes looked watery and apologetic. "It's been 3 years," he said. "Are you still mad at me?" Before he could finish speaking, he let out a sharp scream. Milk was dripping down his face, soaking his clothes. David looked at me, shocked and unable to believe what I had done. "Can you just shut up?" I said. "You're making me sick." A look of anger flashed in David's eyes. I turned to my butler. "Is the guest system in this house so bad," I asked, "that anyone can just wander in?" The butler mumbled something, too afraid to answer. I grew more annoyed. "Get him out of here," I said. "I've lost my appetite for breakfast." "Yes, sir," the butler said and went towards David. "Mr. David, please." "Mark, who do you think you are to kick me out?" David couldn't keep up his calm act anymore and spoke up angrily. I found it hilarious. "This is my home," I said. "I'm the man of the house. Do I need a reason to ask someone to leave?" I finally looked David in the eye. "If you won't leave," I said, "should I?" Then my gaze shifted past him. "Sarah," I said. David's face changed quickly, and he turned around. "Sarah, I'm not—" But seeing the empty doorway behind him, he stopped short. He turned back to me, looking furious. "Playing tricks on me?" he asked. I couldn't help but chuckle at him. David was even angrier now. His face seemed twisted with rage. I got up from the dining table and headed upstairs. As I went, I told the butler to bring me a new breakfast later. I also told him to throw away the carpet and the sofa that David had touched. "I find them dirty," I said. Behind me, David's eyes felt like they could burn holes through me, as if I cared. I was here to make sure his life was worse than death. This time, David left feeling completely defeated and ashamed. By the afternoon, Sarah had heard about what happened. But when she saw the sofa and carpet had been changed, she didn't ask anything about it. She only stopped me when I was entering my room. "I didn't know he would come by," she explained. "When you left, Leo kept crying. He was the one who helped calm him down." I shrugged off her hand. "I'm bored," I said. "You don't need to explain. It's not 3 years ago. I don't care about this stuff anymore." Sarah's hand froze, and her face instantly lost all color. After a moment, she stepped back, looking defeated. A few days later, Leo came to find me. He stood behind a garden pillar, looking at me again and again, but he still couldn't find the courage to come closer. This had been happening for days. I had noticed him right from the start. Today, finally, I set my book down and turned to him. "What's up, Leo?" He glanced around, and once he was sure I was talking to him, he carefully walked over. I didn't say anything else. Leo gathered his courage. "Dad," he said, "will you make a cake with me?" I looked at him, curious. Leo continued, "I want to make my birthday cake with you and Mom." His birthday was next week. A very famous pastry chef was already designing and making that cake. I thought for a moment, then agreed. "Sure," I said. That afternoon when Sarah got back, Leo and I were in the kitchen whipping cream. A pastry chef was showing us what to do. Leo's little face was focused hard on his dough. "What are you doing?" Sarah asked. A maid answered for us. Barely after the maid finished speaking, Leo called out to her. "Mom, come help me bake the cake." Sarah paused for a bit, looking towards me without thinking. Seeing that I was quietly okay with it, her voice became brighter. By the time we finished, it was 4 p.m. The chef looked at the cake we had made. "Now," he said, "let's all 3 of you add the final touches to the cake." Leo picked up a piping bag. I guided his small hand, and he turned to look at me, his eyes bright. He then glanced at Sarah behind me. Sarah quietly reached out her hand to mine, seeing if I would pull away. When she noticed I didn't, she held my hand tighter. The final touches looked beautiful. Leo was thrilled. He ate 2 pieces, saying this cake was the sweetest in the world. "For my birthday," he said, "I'll make another one. The most awesome sweet." For Leo's birthday this year, the company had a special video made and showed it on the largest screen in the city to celebrate. They also invited some important business people to join, and some news reporters came along too. Leo had had birthdays before, but never as grand and fancy as this. This was probably Sarah's idea, because it was more than just Leo's birthday. It was also the first time we were appearing publicly as a family of 3 in 3 years. I could tell she really cared about this birthday celebration. On the day of Leo's birthday, important people from all different areas gathered. Besides the invited reporters, photographers from the news tried to get in to take pictures, so everyone was hanging around outside the house. Some people even started broadcasting live online. The excitement was huge. But pretty soon, people noticed that David wasn't invited. "Isn't David supposed to be the little prince's godfather?" people asked online. "Why didn't he show up?" "He wasn't invited. Ha ha. Seriously? Who started the rumor that David is the godfather anyway? Do people really believe that stuff?" Come on. Everyone's forgetting that photo from 4 years ago with Sarah and her son? Exactly. The three of them looking at the northern lights in Iceland. If they weren't close, why would they go together? People online were arguing fiercely. David's fans tried to make excuses, claiming he was busy filming and mentioned he was thankful for the invite. But then, David himself showed up at the entrance to the house. "See," his fans said, "I knew David would show up for the little prince's birthday as his godfather." The fans quickly changed what they were saying. I saw David then. He was kneeling in front of Leo, giving him the gift he had brought. "Leo," he said, "see what I got for you?" Leo had no idea about everything that had happened. He happily accepted David's gift. David saw me and gave a perfectly controlled smile as he walked over. "Mark," he said, speaking just loud enough for only the two of us to hear. To everyone else, it looked like we were still friends. He chatted with me, smiling warmly. "I know you don't want to see me, but I still came," he said. "But you're leaving soon, right?" I laughed as I replied. David's face changed. It turned out Sarah had noticed him. Sarah looked quite angry. She didn't expect David to show up without being invited. But since it was Leo's birthday, she held back her anger. She just gave a look to the security guards, planning to have them take him away. David used to be treated with respect because he was my friend. Who would have thought he would get kicked out in public someday? Right before the security guards took him away, David grabbed my arm angrily. "Mark," he said, "I just wanted to celebrate Leo's birthday. Was that really necessary? Leo grew up with me around. I genuinely care about him." "Really?" I stared at him. "Your genuine care means trying to take my place? Back then, you even wanted my wife. Who knows if you'd want my son, too?" "So this is your revenge?" David looked at me, full of anger and resentment. "You know how hard I've worked to get here," he said. "Now you have Sarah take away my jobs and opportunities? How could you do this to me?" David accused me. Only then did I realize why David had shown up without being invited. It was a risky move. After he left the house that day, I had taken back all the support and opportunities that had been given to him. His fans hadn't noticed anything yet, but people in the industry had already heard the news. David, having come this far, wouldn't let all his effort go to waste. He took a chance and came to Leo's birthday party to stop the rumors and, as his fans guessed, to get some attention. "What's been so tough?" I laughed at him. "Didn't I help you get into the industry in the first place, with all the connections and opportunities? Without me, do you think you could have gotten this far with just your good looks and no background?" Watching David's face turn red and white with embarrassment, I didn't mind making him feel a little worse. "Guess why Sarah just now took away your support?" I said. "Because I'm back. She wanted to show me that she's serious about us, which is why she's getting back at you now." "David, do you think you only made me angry? Don't forget about Sarah. To her, I'm the most important one." I chuckled, feeling a mean sense of satisfaction. Of course, David probably already figured out the truth, but when I said it so proudly to his face, he couldn't hide his jealous, hateful stare. "Oh, don't be mad," I said. "This is just the beginning. The real drama is still to come." I signaled to the security guards standing nearby. "What are you waiting for?" I said. "Go ahead, throw him out." The security guards stepped in, each grabbing one of David's arms, and tossed him out. Of course, the photographers at the door caught it all on their live broadcast, and the next second, it exploded on social media. People used to see how close David and I were and how much I supported him. David's fans were so proud and always showing off about it. But now, it was completely clear that David and I were no longer connected. "What happened?" people asked. "What's going on?" "Yeah, David got thrown out of the birthday party." Are they really done with each other? I have a feeling this isn't simple. Nope, it's not simple. Because soon, everyone noticed that David's chances were quickly disappearing. Projects he was working on suddenly replaced him. Deals he had made for advertising were given to other people. People online guessed wildly about what had happened overnight. David's position in the entertainment world dropped dramatically. Of course, all this information was passed on to me by Sarah through someone else. It was like she was really trying to show me that she was sorry and regretted what she had done. And when Leo had his birthday, the news took pictures of Sarah looking after me the whole time. People online praised our strong connection. "What's the point of fake celebrity couples?" they wrote, "when you've got real powerful couples like us?" Exactly, others agreed. Two strong people, childhood sweethearts, perfectly matched. Who even cares about a reformed bad boy? It's like something out of a novel. This actually made the company's stock price go up a bit more. Sarah seemed to enjoy those popular videos from the marketing accounts and even secretly helped promote some of them. I just saw it all as one big joke. Watching David struggle even made Sarah seem a little more bearable to me. A few days later, Sarah suddenly asked me to go to a show with her. She seemed a little nervous when she asked. When I nodded, she let out a sigh of relief and smiled. But halfway through the show, Sarah's phone kept lighting up with messages. Then her secretary came over, frowning, and whispered something in her ear. Sarah's face quickly turned serious. "Mark," she said, "I need to handle something and step out for a bit." It was unusual to see Sarah look so upset. I watched her hurry away and picked up my phone. It turned out something big had happened. David had posted a long message and a video online. He wrote, "Thank you all for your concern during this time, and I apologize for taking up public attention. About the rumors online regarding Sarah and me, I want to respond." He wrote that Sarah and he had stopped being friends a long time ago because I had suspected something was going on between her and him. David explained his recent problems as my revenge against him. In his post, he hinted that I was a jealous person. He thought Sarah gave David special treatment because the company supported him so much. "Sarah and I have always been close partners," he wrote. "Sure, I've been a bit in love with her, but that's not why Sarah would get revenge on me." He then wrote that Sarah and I had divorced 3 years ago. Then David shared a video and a photo of a divorce agreement. The video showed a messy hospital room. I was there, my eyes red and angry. "Sarah," I was saying, "we're divorcing." The person with her back to the camera in the video was clearly Sarah. And that photo was the divorce agreement I had signed when I left. Leo certainly looked like Sarah, but I always felt he looked like someone else too. If only he could have been born under normal circumstances. I let out a cold, bitter laugh. "Yeah," I said. "I went abroad because I didn't want your mom or you." Leo's tears flowed even more. "Why?" he asked. "Why do you think—" "Because I stopped loving her," I said. When I first found out that Sarah was having an affair with David, my whole body shook with pain. I only remember a terrible, sick feeling in my stomach, along with sharp, stabbing pain. Sarah's face was pale and shocked. That situation made me stay in bed for a month. When I woke up, Sarah was sitting by my bed. Her eyes were dark, her hair was messy, and her eyebrows were unkempt. She looked desperate. Tim," she said, seeing that I was awake. It made her both happy and worried, but I felt waves of nausea. I threw anything I could reach at Sarah, screaming at her. "Why? Why did you do this to me?" Sarah stood there, not moving, letting me yell at her. In the end, I said, "Sarah, we're divorcing." Her eyes immediately turned red, full of pain as she looked at me. "No, Mark." After leaving the hospital, I moved out of the house. Sarah tried many times to find me, but all I would say to her was one thing: sign the papers. Sarah couldn't stand to hear it anymore, and eventually started avoiding me. A month later, she suddenly appeared on David's social media. That day was Leo's birthday. I had planned to return home to celebrate with him, but I couldn't find him. David posted at that moment, "I am the happiest person alive." In the picture, Leo was being hugged by him and Sarah under a beautiful Aurora. They looked like a perfect family of three. That night, I left a divorce agreement behind and moved abroad alone. During my time abroad, I suffered from severe depression. In my darkest moments, I tried to end my life by cutting my wrist. When I didn't succeed after the first cut, I cut again. But I didn't die. I was saved by the girl who lived next door. "You've died once," she said in broken Chinese. "From now on, you're reborn." She spent that entire winter by my side. The girl was Jessica. Leo didn't understand what trying to end your life meant. He just cried his heart out over and over. I looked up without showing any emotion and saw Sarah standing at the doorway. She had come back without me noticing. Her expression was just like it had been that day at the airport when we saw each other again. She was shocked to see me. Then suddenly her eyes turned red, and she couldn't keep her composure. Sarah and I didn't say a word to each other after that day. Sarah disappeared again. The news was that she was dealing with David's situation at the company. She wanted desperately to fix things between us, trying to carefully repair the damage. But David had messed things up completely, ruining her efforts. She went after David almost like she was getting revenge, putting a lot of pressure on him. David was an artist who worked for her, and she had information that could hurt him, whether it was big or small. And if there wasn't any, Sarah would make some up. Soon, a lot of bad things about David came out. And on top of that, a video from someone who didn't reveal their name appeared online, pushing David into a terrible situation. The video showed David's many shameful actions from when he was a child onwards. At 18, he got a classmate pregnant, was avoided by his friends, and borrowed money from others for an abortion. It was the year I met him. He begged me not to tell anyone, saying it had ruined his life. I felt sorry for him and lent him money. David helped me out with many things in return, and we became best friends. At 19, to win a competition, he secretly put nails in another dancer's shoes, causing them to fall and miss the competition. He claimed he won first place because of luck. At 20, he started acting and slept with directors and writers to get important roles. Afterward, he cried to me, claiming he was forced, and I put a lot of money and effort into supporting him so he wouldn't be treated badly in the industry. And there was so much more. David acted like he was a poor, perfect person in front of me. I was completely fooled by him. Looking back, I realized I never truly saw him for who he was. After the video was released, what people thought about David completely changed. Fans who had supported him before, after finding out who he really was, caused a huge scene by stopping following him and criticizing him. David was finished. The authorities got involved and issued a statement saying that David's claims were completely false and that legal action was being taken. Sarah shared the announcement and added, "Mark is my only husband." A week later, this dramatic situation came to an end. David disappeared online. The world became quiet again. Until one day, Leo disappeared. At the same time, I got a call from David. "Mark," he said, "I've got your son. Meet me and I'll let him go." Of course, I didn't meet him. I called the police right away. An hour later, Leo was rescued. He was holding onto my neck and crying because he was scared. David was arrested. Hatred filled his eyes. "Mark," he said, "you win." I let Leo go and walked over to David. I slapped him twice, hard. It happened so fast even the police couldn't stop me. By the time they reacted, I had grabbed David's hair and was pulling hard. David screamed in pain. "David," I said, "those slaps, one from me, one from my son. I've done nothing wrong to you. But what you've done? 10 cuts wouldn't be enough to make me feel better." David sneered. "Mark," he said, "if you hadn't told my classmates about my affair, would I have been avoided? You became my friend just to see me beg like a dog? You're no different from them, looking down on me." Finally, I understood. David had hated me for a long time. He stared straight at me, saying each word clearly. "Truth is, Mark," he said, "I slept with Sarah a long time ago." David's mean smile was like a final blow meant to completely destroy me. I paused for a moment, then calmly said, "Believe it or not, I never told anyone about your pregnancy issue." David froze. Sarah hired the best legal team with one request. She never wanted to see David again. David was held by the police and given a prison sentence. I heard that the trial was shown live on TV across the country. It was basically the end of his public life. After things settled down, Sarah sighed with relief. But she still couldn't face me, terrified that I would mention divorce if we were together for too long. Later, Leo wanted to visit the amusement park. He had just gone through being kidnapped, so to help him feel better, I agreed. Sarah took a day off to join us, but on the way to the park, a car ran a red light. Sarah quickly turned the car to avoid it, crashing into the bushes. Luckily, it wasn't serious. I was fine, Leo was fine, but Sarah wasn't. To check if she had any problems from the crash, the hospital did a series of tests. Sarah only had a mild concussion, but they found out she had HIV. When the doctor told us the news, Sarah's parents were there. Her mother cried out in pain, collapsing from the shock. Her father, who was usually calm and strong, told the doctors to make a treatment plan right away. I stood in the hallway, looking through the glass at Sarah, who was lying on the bed, looking lifeless and dull. I walked in. She was leaning against the head of the bed. What were once beautiful, bright features were now lifeless. Her face was pale and looked fragile. She managed a weak smile when she saw me. "Mark," she said, "do you think this is karma?" Sarah started treatment, but we knew the truth of the situation. With her family's money and resources, they could only make sure she wouldn't be in too much pain as she passed away. I went back to the house. Leo hadn't realized what had happened, thinking his mom was just busy. 2 months later, I got a call from Sarah's lawyer. "Hey, Mark," he said. "It's Sarah's attorney." In the hospital room, the lawyer handed me and Sarah a divorce agreement. "This is what Sarah asked me to write," he said. "After the divorce, I would get 20% of Sarah's shares in the company. Plus there was a list of properties, cars, stocks, and money." I glanced at Sarah. She looked weaker than the last time I saw her 2 months ago. It was kind of funny. Before, she didn't want a divorce. Now that she was about to die, she had agreed. I looked down at the agreement in my hand. I wasn't going to sign it. The room became silent, and Sarah looked up at me. "Why?" she asked. "Haven't you always wanted a divorce from me?" "Yeah," I said, "I did. I had wanted to get away from Sarah for a very long time. But now that she was dying, what was the point in running?" I turned to the lawyer. "Can you leave us for a bit?" I asked. "I have something to say to her." After the lawyer stepped out, it was just me and Sarah in the room. "You know why I won't sign those divorce papers?" I continued. You think I'm hesitating? No. I hate you more than anyone. I wish you would die. She thought I would become soft because she had decided to change her mind late in the game. Not after everything I had been through. Ever since she forced me to come back to the country, I had been planning my revenge. I didn't expect her to get sick and be the one to go first. So now she was trying to be nice, giving me just 20% of the shares? Who cares if Sarah dies? I become her rightful heir. I get more. Did she think her last-minute kindness would make me forgive her? No. I would hurt her before she left. I hate Sarah, I said. She met my gaze. Even if you could get back at me, she said. What's there to fear from someone who's nearly dead? I was done talking. Sarah's gaze trembled, and she realized I meant every word. Then, with effort, she spoke, her eyes showing both control and deep feeling. Mark, she said, I won't fight back. I love you. I laughed coldly. Oh, love, I said. The more you talk about it, the less I believe it. Sarah, I've known you for years, but I never felt it. That was the last time I saw Sarah. Her parents kept the news quiet to avoid problems with the company's stock. 2 months later, the hospital called. Sarah was going to die soon. This time the room was crowded, including that same lawyer. He read Sarah's will, which was allowed. She was unconscious, kept alive with tubes and oxygen. In the will, Sarah left 60% of her shares to me and 20% to her son, Leo, with me managing his share until he turned 18. I didn't expect Sarah to change her will. The silence in the room was only broken by the lawyer's formal voice. Right after he finished reading, Sarah's heart monitor beeped twice, then went flat. Soft crying filled the room. Everyone bowed their heads and showed their sadness. I watched as they put a sheet over Sarah's face, hiding how I felt. After Sarah passed away, Leo was taken by her parents to their family home. He was meant to be the next heir. He held onto my leg, refusing to go. Dad, he cried, are you leaving me? He didn't understand what saying goodbye meant, but on the day of Sarah's burial, he seemed to sense something. Now he had to leave me. Leo's tears felt like needles cutting into me. I finally knelt down and hugged him. No, I said. But I couldn't take him with me. Sarah's parents needed him now, and it was the best place for him to be. I had lived for decades trying to be a perfect son and husband, but as a father, I felt I owed Leo so much. I'll always love you, I told him. But I need to love myself too.